Reading for me was something that I used to completely despise, especially growing up, being someone who is dyslexic and just struggles generally with reading and taking in knowledge. Those sorts of aspects of my life I hated so much. It used to irritate me that I couldn't read as fast as other people. It used to irritate me that I couldn't do certain things to the same level as other people. And that all really is a big issue for me, and that's what gave me such a divide between me wanting to read and where I am now. It went from being something that I absolutely hated to being something that I actually really love, and I wish more people did, as I would rather have conversations with people talking about what they've recently read over what thing they've recently watched on TV, which may sound like something extremely nerdy, but either way, they're both nerdy aspects. You're either talking about a TV show that you like, or you're talking about a book. So really, there isn't too much of a difference. The only reason why I prefer talking about reading is because a lot of the time, when we're talking about reading anyway, a lot more of it is more intellectual conversation, whereas with TV, a lot of it is more just hoping for certain things to happen within a certain realm of TV. This video itself isn't meant to be a video talking about, this is all of the amazing books I've read and this is the exact things that you need to read and why you need to read them. That isn't what this video is intended to be. I will be making book reviews in the future talking about whether or not you should read certain books. But this video itself is more about why I read, why I want to be someone who does read, and the impacts that it has on my life, and why I wish more people in our generation used reading as an actual great tool in their arsenal, whereas a lot of us end up addicted to social media. We get addicted to the doom scrolling, we get addicted to scrolling on TikTok, all of these different things. I'm addicted to TikTok as well. I'm not going to make it out as if I'm not. I'm not higher above everyone else because I read. I know that's a big issue that people do have with people who do read, is that there is this level of just weird elitist culture with it. But for me, I do think that a big issue with reading for a lot of people is just the fact that really a lot of it they're just simply not interested in. When I was younger, the first ever book I read was a book called Beast Quest 1. And this is a big book series for when it comes to like the age group of like 7 to 12-ish, 7 to 10 probably more like. But this was the first ever book I read. From beginning to end, it was around about 100 pages, and this was when I believe I was about 7. After that, I proceeded to read nothing else. I got books, I enjoyed collecting books, however, I never actually finished any of them. I never found myself being at a point where I could actually finish a book and be happy with the process I made. I got loads of Beast Quest books after that, never finished one of them. I got tons of other books like the Assassin's Creed books because I was like, you know what, I'm interested in Assassin's Creed the games, maybe I'll be interested in the books themselves. I am interested to read them now, but I just struggled so much. I had like next to no support when it came to my school, nothing. So really, I ended up just stepping away and just being like, okay, yeah, I just resent reading. However, a lot of that ended up changing for me, as when I turned 17, I ended up getting a book called I'll Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And this book, honestly, changed the way I view money, and even to this day, how I view money. I'm probably going to go back and read it again, just to re-ingrain everything that he talks about within the first book, but I'm going to read the up-to-date version and so on, because I agree with a lot of his opinions on how to deal with money. Some of the things that he talks about money-wise, I don't fully agree on, but generally, the basics that he talks about, a lot of the ideas of living your rich life instead of other people's rich life, I do heavily agree with. And this ended up inspiring me, so that the moment I turned 17 in the UK, because that's the age you had to be to open an ISA, I went, opened an ISA, and ever since, every single month, I have saved £200 in that ISA. I'm 20 now, so I was able to save up a good chunk of money just sat in an account, and that worked out really well for me. However, over the last 4 years, I've only read about 8 books, and that's because of how I approach reading in itself. I approach reading as a habit versus a hobby, and that is one of the big differences. A lot of people view reading as, it's a hobby, I'm only going to do it because I love reading. That isn't it for me. I do love reading, for a few reasons. One of the main ones is that I don't forget what I'm meant to be saying when I'm talking. That one thing in itself makes me so much happier when I read, because when I don't and I go lengths of time without reading, I can notice this. Not only that though, but one of the big ones for me comes down to the idea of being able to read quicker, because it's something that I've always hated about myself. And when I say hated about myself, I mean as in like, I don't hate a lot of things about myself. I probably say I'm fairly cocky, probably a little bit egotistical of a person, but reading in itself, I end up really hating myself because of it. When it takes me 5 minutes to read 250 words, to me, that really angers me, and that's because I know I can do it quicker. I just know I can, and after doing it for months on end, it ends up happening. So when I do read actively, I know one main thing, and that is that I end up reading a lot quicker, and that really helps me when it comes to things like writing scripts for videos, rereading scripts for videos, and just doing general things where I need to read, which is quite often, especially when you're doing certain things like I am when it comes to content creation or just my general job where I do need to read a decent amount of stuff as well. But the last two things for me are the real reasons why I love reading. One is the worlds you can explore. Game of Thrones, for example, is the first fiction book that I'm reading, and there's a reason for that, and that is because I've watched the show so many times, and I love the show. Yes, the ending for it, we can all talk about how bad it is, but let's just talk about the books. Itself, I love the world of Westeros. I love the whole lore behind Game of Thrones. It's something that I find really interesting. But for me, I have a lack of imagination. But because I've watched the show so many times, when I'm reading a character's lines within a book, I can tell and know what their voices are meant to sound like, because I've watched the show that many times that it is ingrained in my head. I know what almost every single one of the characters looks like, so I'm just able to recall what I've seen and kind of create an image from that, whereas for a lot of people, they can just start constructing things in their head just out of nowhere, which for me, I find that, like, if I could do that, I'd be so happy, because as someone who wants to make videos, for example, having that creativity to just be able to create anything you want just in your head from nothing, that sounds great, but for me, it just doesn't happen. So when it comes to it, there is the world you can explore within reading, the knowledge itself that you get from reading books. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, one book's going to solve all your life's issues. But I'm definitely going to tell you that there is plenty of books out there that get very close to being able to give you so much knowledge and wisdom that you wouldn't have got by just sitting around watching TikTok for an entire year. And lastly, the main reason out of anything, I read more than anything just before bed, and there's a reason for that, and that's because reading for me tires me out so much, because you have to be thinking a lot. For me, especially, I have to reread certain bits, because I'll end up skipping lines and be like, oh, what is this? I'm so confused about what I'm reading. But reading itself just tires me out. So because of that, if I read for about an hour before bed, I end up just completely easily falling asleep. So those few things all combine to make me love reading, and it makes me someone who wants to be a reader. I don't want to be a reader simply for the factor of being able to say, I read books, I'm better than you. I love the idea of reading purely because of the amount of knowledge that is kept within books is insane. That's something that really you're not going to be able to take in as well as you can in forms of things like YouTube videos, reading text on a screen, as it's proven that you're less likely to recall it if you read it from a screen versus a book. Like, all of these things, I find that really interesting. So because of that, it's part of the reason why I read and why I always have wanted to be a reader, but always neglected it for so long in my life, purely because of dyslexia, not being pushed in school to do so, like all these different things that built up to me just turning around and being like, you know what, I'm not going to be doing this. I don't care. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and do subscribe for more content. This is kind of part of my 90 days to change my life, which will not be a 90-day video. It's probably going to be like even longer, not going to lie. Videos itself, like I haven't finished the Game of Thrones book, still need to finish that. I've got a few other things I want to do. I also want to get my fitness all sorted before I make my last video. I'll be addressing the fact that my 90 days were up a while ago. In terms of the video itself, by the time you see this one, I think I've still got like 2-3 weeks left, but I'm nowhere near any of my goals. But yeah, in terms of it, I do love reading. I'm going to have even more book reviews coming out once I finish a lot more of them, and I'll probably just make videos talking about things that I learned from books, different books that you should read if you are a first-time reader trying to get into it, what you should do if you're someone who is dyslexic like me, who doesn't get the support, especially, I'm not sure about other places in the world, but in the UK, literally, school systems just turn around and go, yeah, no, you think we're going to help you? They do nothing to even try and support you. So it's something that I do care about a lot, purely because I've been there, and I know what that's like. So yeah, with that all being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure to leave a like and do subscribe for more content on this channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.